My Lords, I congratulate Baroness Hui on securing this debate on a very important matter, and I agree very much with what she had to say, and I also agree very strongly with the Noble Lord, Lord Lilly, on what he had to say. It seems to me, my Lords, that they both introduced an element of realism which has to be set against other considerations. My Lords, the facts are that people smugglers are making fools of us and making millionaires of themselves. The numbers arriving in small boats have trebled this year from last year and are now 25,000 with 5 weeks to go. On present form, they could treble again next year. Meanwhile, accommodation for them is overwhelmed and the court system is underpowered. The contrast between the slogan "Taking Back Control" and the present situation could hardly be starker. My Lords, I'm sure we're all agreed that those who are genuinely fleeing persecution and who reach our shores by legal means should be granted protection. However, those now arriving in Kent have often passed through several safe countries. They clearly believe that their chances are better in the UK, either because the whole system is perceived as looser, or because of the advantages of language, family, and opportunities for illegal work. What we certainly know is that there is at present very little prospect of their ever being returned to their countries of origin. My Lords, there must be questions about how genuine some of these asylum seekers really are if they or their families can afford to pay thousands of dollars to the people smugglers. Furthermore, a continuing, indeed increasing flow of arrivals by sea can only undercut public acceptance of genuine refugees from elsewhere. And meanwhile, it is all costing $1.5 billion a year. My Lords, we hear talk of safe and legal routes. They cannot be directly from the whole world, so there'd have to be some kind of a sifting operation somewhere. Where would that be? Would it not be overwhelmed by applicants? For sure, large numbers of failed applicants will be left in that country. So it's very unlikely that host countries will be willing to have such a facility on their territory. My Lords, this is clearly ill-considered, and it seems to me that safe and legal routes is no more than a convenient soundbite. So what should be done? I would suggest 4 steps. First, arrivals should be placed in secure accommodation and certainly not in 4-star hotels until their cases have been decided by fast-tracked procedures. Secondly, asylum should be automatically refused to those who refuse to identify themselves in a proper way. Thirdly, a much stronger effort should be made to return asylum seekers to their own countries if they fail. This should include the proposals in the government's bill to restrict the grant of visas to those countries that refuse to take back their own citizens. And lastly, we should, of course, as I'm sure the whole House would agree, seek an agreement with France and possibly Belgium to accept the immediate return of those who arrived by small boats. This will not be simple, but I note that President Macron has said that he is determined that the Channel should not become a graveyard. My Lords, indeed, none of this will be simple, but allowing the present situation to continue, or even to worsen, would result in even greater numbers, and I fear a seriously negative reaction from the British public.